A truly bombshell admission to the FBI by an informant on Hunter Biden that Russian intelligence officials were directly involved in passing along bogus dirt on the president's son. CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez is working this important story for us. Evan, what are prosecutors now saying about these ties?
Well, Alexander Smirnov, Wolf, was behind those very damaging allegations against President Biden. One of the things he said to the FBI in 2020 was that he had information indicating that Hunter Biden, his son, and the then former vice president were going to get $5 million apiece in order to help fix some business for Burisma, which was a Ukrainian energy company. According to the FBI, according to the Justice Department, none of that is true. He is charged with lying to the FBI and falsifying records. Now, what this new court filing, which just came in the last hour, says that after Smirnov was arrested by the FBI last week, he said the following. He said that Smirnov admitted that officials associated with Russian intelligence were involved in passing a story about Hunter Biden. Business person one is what the Justice Department refers to in this filing, but it is Hunter Biden that they are referring to. Now, Smirnov is due before a judge in the next few minutes. Wolf, the FBI and the Justice Department want him to remain detained while he faces these new charges, and so we'll find out whether a judge agrees to keep him detained. But one of the arguments that the Justice Department is making is that he has extensive contacts with intelligence officers, not only in Russia, but in other countries as well, and they say that he poses a flight risk. Wolf?
Yeah, I just went through this, nearly 40 or 50 page charge, this government's memorandum in support of detention of this defendant, Alexander Smirnov, and it's got a lot of incredible details. What wider fears does all this raise?
Well, one of the things that the Justice Department and Special Counsel David Weiss is making here in this filing, Wolf, is that this not only refers to or has to do with the 2020 election, but that this also calls into question whether Smirnov is part of an effort to influence the next election, the 2024 election. I'll read you just a part of this that the Justice Department says this misinformation that he is spreading is not confined to 2020. He is actively peddling new lies that could impact U.S. elections after meeting with Russian intelligence officials in November. The prosecutors in this filing will point out that he has business trips planned overseas, and of course, the people who he is associated with, again, people who according to the Justice Department, are people associated with intelligence agencies overseas, that they could essentially help influence U.S. elections that are coming up. Wolf?
All right, so this is an absolute bombshell of a story. We just learned that the Republican Party's star witness in Hunter Biden's scandal was getting information from Russian intelligence, according to a new court filing by the Department of Justice. So Alexander Smirnov told U.S. law enforcement that Russian intelligence officials had been involved in passing a story about the president's son. So Smirnov is an FBI informant who's been charged with lying to investigators about a fictitious bribery scheme involving President Joe Biden, his son Hunter, and a Ukrainian energy company. And he has, according to prosecutors in court documents filed today, quote, had contact with foreign intelligence services, including in Russian intelligence agencies, end quote. So Smirnov was indicted last week on charges that said that he lied to the FBI, falsely telling them that executives with the now defunct Ukrainian energy company Burisma had paid Hunter and Joe Biden $5 million each in bribes. Smirnov's contacts included a figure prosecutors called, quote, Russian official one, whom the informant allegedly described as the, quote, son of a former high-ranking Russian government official, someone who purportedly controls two groups of individuals tasked with carrying out assassination efforts in a third-party country, end quote. Folks, this is huge. Smirnov has been the pillar and star witness of the months-long Republican effort to impeach President Biden, solely relying on his testimony for essentially their entire case.
Real of a bribery Joe Biden bribery scandal allegation is this?
Well, every day this bribery scandal becomes more credible.
We already know the president took bribes from Burisma.
Even a trusted FBI informant has alleged a bribe to the Biden family.
The most corroborating evidence we have is that 1023 form from this highly credible, confidential human source, according to U.S. Attorney Scott Brady.
But Special Counsel David Weiss, who is prosecuting Hunter Biden on gun and tax charges, alleged on February 14th that Smirnov had made the entire story up, and he was arrested at a Las Vegas airport after returning from overseas just a couple weeks ago. So in a new 28-page memo submitted today opposing bail for Smirnov, prosecutors said that Smirnov had admitted to having contacts with foreign intelligence services from countries including Russia. Prosecutor Weiss wrote to the court, quote, "While Smirnov has no ties to the community in Las Vegas, what he does have is extensive foreign ties, including, most troublingly, and by his own account, contact with foreign intelligence services, including Russian intelligence agencies, and has had such contacts recently," end quote. Smirnov could use these contacts to resettle outside of the United States if released on bail. So essentially, prosecutors are opposing bail for Smirnov because they think Russian intelligence agencies may help him actually try to flee the country. Here's what retired Army Lieutenant Colonel and Ukrainian American Alexander Vinman, who actually provided testimony that led to Trump's first impeachment for abuse of power in the Ukraine scandal, had to say about these new bombshell revelations.
Joining us now, the former National Security Council official, retired Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vinman. Colonel Vinman, thanks so much for joining us. What's your reaction to this filing that this FBI informant, a guy by the name of Alexander Smirnov, was fed fake dirt on the Bidens by Russian intelligence? And how does this fit into the pattern of how Russia actually operates?
You know, we use the term bombshell pretty often, but I think this is some bombshell reporting. The reason is that it clarifies certain facets of Russia's influence operation to interfere in elections almost a decade back, 2016, 2020, and 2024. It certainly shows their tradecraft in using witting agents. Smirnov is under arrest because he's assessed to be a witting agent, more than likely. And the fact that I think from an intelligence perspective, from the Russian perspective, they see a large number of Republican political leaders as unwitting agents, carrying forward Russian disinformation. So that's a pretty interesting picture that it paints of how the Russians are interfering, co-opting the Republican Party to do their bidding to tip the scales in Trump's favor. The other thing that's really interesting is it may clarify some of Trump's intentions, why he is catered so hard towards Russia, why he invited within the past 2 weeks, he invited Russia to attack a NATO member, a grave danger for U.S. troops, a grave danger for U.S. troops. Why? Because he's looking for that quid pro quo that he's been searching for from 2016 forward, whether it's emails, whether it's solicitations to Russia to share intelligence, to deliver some sort of information on corruption. That is why he's probably working so, he's leaning so far into engaging with Russia, because he's looking for any and every means to win the 2020 elections and tip the scales in his favor. I witnessed it when I was in the White House and reported presidential corruption. It carries through to 2024. Very, very dangerous.
So Republicans are constantly screaming that the accusations against them and Trump for conspiring with Russia is all some grand Democratic conspiracy. You hear them near daily screaming Russia hoax, the Russia collusion hoax across the right-wing media's ecosystem, basically every single day. But at what point does this stop being a coincidence and start being exactly what it appears to be? At every turn, Trump praises Putin and Russia. Republicans are also the ones halting aid to Ukraine in their war against Russia's invasion. Just last week, Trump said on stage at one of his rallies that he would actually encourage Russia to invade our democratic allies in Europe. We know that they interfered in our elections in 2016 and 2020 to try and help the former president. And now we know that they're trying to do it again. At a certain point, if it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like Russian interference in an effort to help Republicans, it probably is Russian interference to help Republicans win elections. The big question is why? Why is our biggest adversary so hell-bent on helping Trump and Republicans? Why are they going to such great lengths to help defeat Democrats? Now, we can only speculate as to why, but one thing is abundantly clear. The enemies of the United States stand strong with the Republican Party. With Really American, I'm Justin Horwitz. Please be sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got a ton planned going into the election, and we can't do it without you. Thanks.